hiring virtual assistants. That's how I quadrupled the size of my first e-com business in just 6 months. In this video, I'm going to cover the what, why, when, where, and how. Also, pulled that off. I'm going to cover some daily routines and some of the training aspects that you need to cover with your VAs. And we're going to get into all that right now. Be sure and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified every time I publish a new video. Also, watch this video all the way to the end because I have it chock full of great information. And let me know in the comments if you like. I'm going to try to put a table of contents over here so that you know where we're at in the video. Let me know if you like that feature. So the thought of hiring any employee is really a daunting one for entrepreneurs, business owners, etc. It's full of complications and other sorts of things you have to watch out for. But hiring an employee remotely in another country that you've never done or feel that it's so distant, that can be even more daunting. And most people put this off. But you have to really stop and think about why you started this business in the first place. You don't want to get caught up in the weeds of your business. Also, you need to consider, don't put yourself in the path of doing $5 an hour work if your value of your time is worth $100 an hour. You focus on the $100 an hour and up work. Everybody else can focus on the other tasks for you. So now let's get started with what is a virtual assistant. Okay, so what is a virtual assistant? You hear a lot of terms in the industry tossed about like outsourcing and freelancing and virtual assistants. And basically outsourcing is kind of an agreement that you as the employer has with a third-party contractor to do a particular task. Maybe make a logo or do a spreadsheet, something along those lines. And it is usually one that is done in kind of a one-off basis. And those are done by, that agreement is between you and what we call a freelancer. So a freelancer is just a specialized third party that will do whatever it is you're hiring them for. And essentially, when we talk about virtual assistants, we really are talking about somebody that is going to be employed for the longer term, somebody that's going to be with you in the daily operations as your personal assistant, virtual assistant, and help you with those daily tasks. Okay, why should you hire a virtual assistant? Well, I always say that it's the GSS mantra, right? Growth, speciality, and sanity. So as an entrepreneur, you really are born as a hustler. And this is both a blessing and a curse. And one of the biggest downfalls that most entrepreneurs have is delegating responsibility because they don't think that somebody else can do the job as well as they can. If you want to grow your business, then you have to get good at delegating these responsibilities. I spoke to a colleague of mine in Vegas a few weeks ago, and he said that they used to do this one task in their job, which was running Facebook ads. And they did that because they thought that it was so critical of a component that nobody else could do it. And it is a very challenging one. Would not recommend you go right out and hire a VA to run your Facebook ads. But after a couple of years of doing Facebook ads, they finally relegated this task to one of their better VAs. And right away, almost immediately, they saw their costs go up by 15%, their efficiencies go down, and they thought, what am I doing? But in turn, they were able to spend their time on the $100 an hour tasks at growing their business. And with the proper training that they put in place with their VAs, they were able to very quickly, within a few months, regain those lost higher ad costs and really get their business on track. And were able to double and triple it within a year. So, point of my story is start delegating those responsibilities. The second thing here is speciality, and I think this really goes without saying. Look, you're an entrepreneur, congratulations, but you're not good at everything. I'm not good at everything, and there's some things that I just outright hate doing. But, things like super technical stuff, outsource. Things that are logo design, graphic work, etc., outsource. And that's all good. Speciality, get it to the right person. And the last thing is sanity. Again, just like I mentioned earlier, remember why you started your own business. Remember why you told your boss, your old boss, that he could take his job and shove it, right? And if you can't remember, then go spend some time with your family. Go give them a hug or take the kids to the zoo, and you'll remember why you're doing this. So sanity, boom. Okay, next is when. When should I hire a virtual assistant? I say you hire a virtual assistant as soon as you possibly can. You don't want to overstretch yourself. You want to be able to budget for it, but don't put it on credit cards or borrow money to do it. But do it as soon as you feasibly can and start them on some mundane, repetitive tasks. Do the things, again, that $5 an hour workers should do and not $100 an hour workers. Additionally, don't outsource anything that you can't already do yourself or you don't know how to do. Sure, there are some circumstances that this doesn't apply to, like super highly technical things or maybe web hosting if you're not too super savvy on that, or logo design. But for the core fundamentals of your business practice, you need to know how to do everything from customer service to client supplier relationships to whatever it takes. You need to know how to do it all so that you can stay on top of teaching and following up with your virtual assistants. Okay, where can you find virtual assistants? So in the first kind of classification, like I talked about earlier, outsourcing to freelancers, there are a myriad of places you can go to get outsourcing done. But a couple of really great places are Fiverr. Fiverr has blown up in the last several years and has more and more quality vendors than ever. So Fiverr is a really great place to get those one-off things done and even some types of repetitive work. Also, 99 Designs. If you need any kind of graphical creation, that's a great place to go. You get so many different looks at what's going on and for your business that you don't even have to pay for. You can get some really good ideas and then ultimately select the one that suits your needs the best. Also, there's a place called StoreTasker, and they are full of freelancers that will help you specifically with a Shopify store. If you have Shopify set up as your shopping cart, then StoreTasker folks can help you do just about anything from A to Z with your Shopify store. Now, when it comes to virtual assistants, there are a couple places that I really like to dip into to find my pool of candidates, and that is, the first one is onlinejobs.ph. And that is really a network of virtual assistants from the Philippines. And why do we like the Philippines? Well, for two main reasons. Number one, English is a very, very much focused on language in the Philippines. So you can get a lot of people that already can communicate with you without any kind of translation services. Also, it's very cost effective to hire somebody from the Philippines. The other is Upwork. Upwork is another really great place to hire people that have their specialities, whether it's, again, technical work, accounting, what have you. So onlinejobs.ph and Upwork are the places I like to use. Okay, now we get to the how. I have a couple of different questions that start with how. So the first one is, how do we hire virtual assistants? I'm going to walk through what I do at onlinejobs.ph because that's the place that I go to the most for this service. And the first thing that I do is I create a really high quality job posting. I could never expect the quality of assistant that I'm looking for to be high if I start out with a poor listing to begin with. You want to be clear in all of your communication, what your requirements are, what your pay is, everything. You want to lay it all out there for these people to see. The second thing is to go through and read reviews. There's a review system on onlinejobs.ph, and that allows you to go in and see what other previous employers have said about these candidates. You can ask them for a face-to-face interview, maybe on Skype. You can ask them to do maybe a 2-week trial to see, how it works out in the beginning. Also, you can ask for some examples of their previous work or get some references from them. I always like to ask them to complete some sort of task, some task that's kind of in line with what they will be doing for me. Obviously, it'll be something that doesn't require any sort of login anywhere, but to complete a task. And then I want them to send me a PayPal invoice. This lets me know that they will accept, or they can accept payment via PayPal, and that they know their way around a PayPal system. And lastly, what I like to do is at the bottom of my job listing or post, I like to ask the question, what's your favorite hobby, color, or pet? Or what's your pet's name? And then I have them include that in the subject line of the application that comes in. You would be amazed how many people won't even put that in there because they don't read the whole job description. And I don't want those people as applicants and working for me anyways. So that will very quickly and instantly allow you to rule out about 2/3 of all of the applicants. And the second how is, how much should you pay a virtual assistant? Well, outsourcing freelancers is really kind of an easy one because most of them will have a predefined rate for whatever the job is, since it's usually a one-off job for completion. And if you use them over time and with some frequency, you might be able to negotiate that rate. Virtual assistants, however, you usually will end up paying in one of two different ways. You can pay them per completed task, given that you have enough tasks to keep them on and interested. Or you could pay them a full-time base salary, and then you have them on as a full-time employee. How much you pay your VAs is really going to have a range, because if you're paying or hiring a VA that has more repetitive style work, non-creative type of work, generally you can end up paying a VA somewhere around $3 an hour for this type of work for full-time employment. If you want somebody that has more technical skills, or say an accounting degree or training in accounting, you're going to end up paying somewhere between $5 or $7. And at the end of the day, they're going to kind of tell you, those people are going to tell you where their rate is, and you can negotiate with them some. As I mentioned earlier, I like them all to send me a PayPal invoice initially in the application process, because that's the way I like to pay my VAs. PayPal works really well for me. I get a lot of money from my systems in through PayPal, so I always have it instant and ready to use as a payment source. And at the end of the day, PayPal works for me. And remember, you're the boss, so you dictate the terms. Okay, so what does a daily routine look like? What can I have my virtual assistant really do for me? And I have a little list here because there's no way I could remember them all, but I'll just rapid fire you some ideas so that you can get some ideas. Anywhere from search engine optimization, keyword research, accounting, order processing, customer service. Sorry, I should have led with that one. Customer service, always customer service. I hate customer service. Video production, direct sales, anything that has to do with spreadsheets, product image resizing, website design, logo creation, etc. There are just whatever you can think of, whatever it is, especially that you don't like to do, get them to do it. And you'd be surprised how much easier your job is going to feel. When I have them do customer service, I always have them start an FAQ and write down the things that they start to see frequently, so that they can have a list to kind of go back to, so that they don't have to keep bothering me for the same answer over and over and over again while they're learning. I think I can hear some of you say, oh my gosh, well, some of those systems require logins and passwords, and I can't just trust somebody from all the way around the world. So my solution to that is I use a service called LastPass.com. And LastPass.com is a service that saves all of your passwords. You can create, they have a business level account. It's super cheap, that you can create access for a VA. That you don't have to reveal any of your passwords. They're all saved for the websites that they would need to get into. And if they don't end up in your employment any longer, you can just revoke their access to their LastPass account. Also, some systems like Shopify and many more have the ability to create sub-accounts in their system that have limited access to certain things, restricted access to things. That way you can set it up internally within those systems, and you don't have to worry about sharing your password. There are also things that you should not have your VA do for you. And I won't get into a whole myriad of bullet point lists or anything, but you really don't want to have them involved with things necessarily, especially in the beginning, that are high level business decision type of work. Nothing financial or niche selection, the direction of your business, or anything that I would suggest, anything that has to do with relationship building, maybe your suppliers and things like this. You could certainly have them find you a list of suppliers maybe that you want to contact, but you don't want them to be the front face of your business when it comes to those high impact relationships. Okay, training your VA. Training your VA. These guys, they can't just learn by osmosis. They aren't just going to automatically do what you think that they should. You need to give them a very easy to read set of instructions, right? English is not their first language. Remember that. They're proficient at it, but it's not their first language. So you want to make sure that everything is very detail oriented when you give them a list of instructions. There really are two different ways that I think about when I set up a new VA and train with them. And that is, I come up with a list of SOPs or standard operating procedures, or I create a series of videos that I leave in, say, like a Google Drive or something that they can access and have everything kind of listed out and categorized. And I'll do a short screen share for this process, whatever the process is. And that way, what's nice about it is that way, any VA that I can hire, I can have them go back to that one video and get trained on it for whatever's up and coming for them. One time, a long time ago, when I had a job, I had a boss tell me that when it came to training, he said, I do, we do, you do. And I thought that was brilliant, and that has stuck with me forever. So everything that I do, and that's why I like going through a training video, is that's me doing. I do. Then I take you by the hand. Usually I'll do a screen share with them, and I will watch them go through the process after they've seen my video, etc. And then once I've done it and they've done it, now they're off to the races, and it's time for them to go about doing their job. And I found that this is a very, very efficient way of doing things. I read a book a long time ago called The 10-Minute Manager, and a lot of the practices in that book have stuck with me as a boss for a long time. And one of the things that it really kind of advocates is don't belabor over things. You want to give short, swift, positive, constructive rewards and acknowledgments. Also, you want to acknowledge the shortcomings of your VA, but don't belabor over them. Everything needs to be constructive, and you'll end up with better results. Just because you're outsourcing some help doesn't mean that that's something that you're just off-putting and you never have to touch or manage. This is a person that you're going to have to manage often. And what I really like to do is I like to set up weekly get-togethers with my VAs. Now I kind of have a weekly get-together with my VA that's a manager, and I let them disseminate to the rest of the team. But I would suggest getting together with your VA once a week, even if it's a 10-minute long Skype call on a Monday or a Friday, it doesn't really matter. But just get together so that you maintain that face-to-face relationship with your VA and hear any challenges or obstacles that they're having. A lot of times you'll be able to cut some things off at the pass before they become problems when you're talking with someone. Like I said a second ago, I acknowledge and reward positive outcomes. Now, if they're few and far between, then I guess I just expect them. But if these things are, if I have a VA that is regularly performing well for me and it shows their enthusiasm and their long-term outlook on as an employee of mine, I do give bonuses. I give monthly bonuses and quarterly bonuses. It goes a long, long way to folks when you can give them a little bonus, which ultimately probably means nothing to you and it means the world to them. So think about setting up some sort of a commission or bonus structure, and I bet you'll get better results out of your VAs. Be sure and subscribe to the channel to stay up on the latest in e-com, and be sure and like this video so that other people get a chance to see it. And now watch this video. Go ahead and watch this video. Near, 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 near.